We are still talking about the old mills, but there's going to be a change this time. It's in the pre-1850 period. We will talk about a few of the old water-driven mills, but I want to start this time to talk about the steam mills, because that was a big deal. It was a big deal because when you see the steam mills coming, what that is that shows that the Industrial Revolution is on its way. We hear about it happening in England, you know, somewhere around 1750, supposedly the Industrial Revolution starts. And but it was a big deal because it changed so many things. The means of production changed. You know, it wasn't just guys sitting around or women sitting around and working. It was machines. These external combustion engines spinning and spurting forth all kinds of fumes into the air and steam. But what we notice is that in Hempfield Township, this event started to happen in the 1820s. Already in the 1820s, we see the steam engine introduced. It was a slow process. 1822, Jacob Hugus in the township set up a steam engine to drive his grist mill, and he was also doing fabric work there too, carding and spinning and fouling, the kind of things that a fabric processor does. And to pay for the grinding at his mill, he would take the normal amount that a miller would take, which would be 1/10. So if the miller had 10 bushels to be ground, the 1/10 would go to the guy who was doing the milling. So, which would mean the miller would build up a stock of grain, and Jacob Hugus, being a smart fellow, put that grain to use. By 1829, at his steam mill, he also had a distillery. So he was using the grain he was taking from the farmers as the price of grinding their wheat and whatever he was grinding. So now we'll look at a couple of pictures. We'll show just a few pictures of the old water mills, and then we'll go to some looking at the steam mill. This is a really beautiful old mill, and it still exists. It's down in Virginia, and the reason that it still exists is because it was only built in 1903. This is one of the activities that goes on, or went on, in the old mills. This old fellow is sharpening a millstone, and that is really hard work. I know that because I've done that, and that stuff is flint. And you bang on that with one of those hammers and sparks fly. It's a hard work. This is Hempfield Township. This is Greensburg. Going out here is where Route 30 goes now. And if you've ever driven by this area by Jeanette, you've probably seen the Millersdale Road. That takes you down to Millersdale. And we'll see Millersdale. This is a branch of the Sewickley Creek. Millersdale's right in here. And here's one of the millers who had a mill down there. Here is Mr. Fox having another mill over here. Here's another mill. Here a mill, there a mill, everywhere a mill. This mapping is from the 1800s, the 1860s, and actually out of our time period, but it's good to use. Here is another use that the old mills were put to. The gunsmiths needed rotary power to do the boring in the barrel of their guns and rifles they made. The Milliron family, down by what is now New Stanton, had a mill turning their machinery where they made guns. They were gunsmiths. And here we see, pointed out, the first steam mill. Some would say the first steam mill west of the Alleghenies, which it could be, I don't know. But it's certainly the first in Westmoreland County and Hempfield Township. In 1822, Jacob Hugus, Hugus, built here a mill, a grist mill that was turned by a steam engine. This site is now impacted by Route 30, the bypass. Hugus also had a lot of other machinery in his mill turned by the steam. He had a machinery to do fabric work in there. And several years he also had a distillery where he had his mill. The steam engines were really a great engine of change. We are going through a great change now, brought about by another great engine of change, the computer. And there have been numerous these engines of change. Another one would be the advent of electricity in the late 1800s. That really changed things. And surprisingly, the beginning of the steam power was another great engine of change. It just changed the means of production. This shows Hugus's mill being rented out. And this old woodcut probably didn't really represent Hugus mill. It was just a standard cut that was used for just about any mill, any steam mill. And this is the great engine of change. This is the steam engine. They came in many shapes and sizes, and this is just one variety. But they were powerful, and they did a lot of work, and they've been replaced. You know, it's just history now. And we finish this and say so long, and so long to the steam engine for the most part.